Another clean sheet for Arsenal, all about momentum and keeping that going after that victory against Newcastle on Sunday, wasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. Two 2-0 wins in the Champions League so far, 2 wins from 2, the only English team with a 100% record. And yeah, I think it's very important for Arsenal in this very important period coming up. It's next 4 to 6 games in the Premier League especially, very favourable, especially compared to Liverpool. They've got to play Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City before the next international break in November. So yeah, it's a good win for Arsenal, and yeah, important for other players as well, like Martin Odegaard, to come back and get some rhythm in the game, especially after a disappointing start to the season. And he's not the only one. Bukayo Saka as well, bit stop-start, and yeah, I think it's important not for the team but for some individuals as well.
Now, I've just been in the news conference with Mikel Arteta, and I put it to him, when you turn around and look at your bench, it's a big difference to the bench that he had last season compared to this season, and in particular with this Olympiacos game. I mean, the likes of Eberechi Eze, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, to name 3 who you can call upon.
It's probably a 7-a-side team or a 9-a-side team that could probably beat Arsenal's first team 11 on the pitch, absolutely. So yeah, I think that's definitely a difference. He said last season they had to play 4 or 5 academy graduates who had never played professional football before, and that is a huge difference. Once again, we've seen it with the late goals, the finishers, as Mikel Arteta calls them, the substitutes off the bench, getting those important goals and points in the Premier League. I think we've seen it here. When you look at Liverpool and how they rotated in Galatasaray and they didn't get the results, and of course there's a huge difference getting a result at Galatasaray compared to a home game here, but when you look at how they rotate and look at how Arsenal are rotating, it's very different. It's bringing very different results, and that can only be a positive for Mikel Arteta.
You say only a positive for Mikel Arteta. Have you noticed anything different about the manager himself and his demeanour compared to the last couple of seasons, and is it reflected with the squad that he's got to call upon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you see Gabriel come off injured, and normally last season you think Mikel Arteta would be pulling his hair out, you'd feel the nervousness, the anxiousness around the stadium. There wasn't really that, because Christian Mosquera has been signed and he's had an excellent start to the season. He had a bit of an iffy game at Newcastle in that first half and came off at half time, but it does seem like a calmer Arsenal, a very different Arsenal. And again, that's only a positive, because from here on in, really important games coming up, really important period. And yeah, Arsenal, it's very, very early in the season to say they're favourites, but you probably think they're in the better place right now than Liverpool, coming up to a really critical point.
Yeah, you say critical point. Important games coming up, as you mentioned, Sam. Next up here at the Emirates, it's West Ham United, and if Arsenal can make it another win there, they will go top of the Premier League for a few hours at least anyway.
Odegaard firing just makes me think of that kind of Kevin De Bruyne, Rasmus Højlund link, but that and the Haaland link. Odegaard seems like that kind of player who will find that man who wants to get on the back of the defenders, careering through. That first goal was a really good sign for Arsenal.
Yeah, a couple of balls on a plate for the front boys.
Yeah, when he's at his best, he's up there amongst the best number 10s in world football. He hasn't been at his best for a while now.
I'm sure he'd admit that.
And he would admit that, because he's got to take responsibility. He's the captain, he's the leader in that dressing room. I just think, looking all round at Arsenal, you look at the fullbacks coming in, White, Lewis, Kelly, the 2 centre-halves they got on the bench pushing, the 2 boys there. Everything about the club, young players who are hungry, who are important to have to drive the group. They've got all of the ingredients now. Like, there's no excuses now. The Arsenal... April, if you could fast forward to April, May, and Arsenal was still in the Champions League, which I think they will be, quarterfinals, semi-finals, chasing the league, that's the time they'll trip themselves up, because that's if they've not developed, because they've got to be able to work out how to compete every 3 days with the pressure. And the fans do this silly thing where they start getting nervous. You can't, you can't, because it's been such a long time, and that, they've got to really find a way at Arsenal, the back end of the season. There's no doubt they'll be there with the quality.
The Emirates was buzzing as Arsenal's young stars once again proved their quality on the big stage. Captain Martin Odegaard orchestrated the midfield with precision, dictating play and providing the creativity that unlocked the Olympiacos defense. His leadership was instrumental as Arsenal controlled possession and pressed with intensity throughout the match. After the final whistle, manager Mikel Arteta praised his side's performance, applauding the energy, discipline, and hunger shown by the players. The win further cements Arsenal's strong run in Europe.